everybody, welcome to another episode of vRealize This Live. My name is Matt Bradford, and joining me today is Thomas Bryant. Thomas, how you doing, sir?
Oh, it's another fine day in the world today, I gotta tell you.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, today, we're talking all about being proactive, right? As systems administrators, it's kind of like the one goal that we all have, right? Everybody talks about, hey, we want to be proactive. We want to get out of firefighter mode. And so that's what we're talking about today with Proactive Intelligence with Skyline. And joining us today to talk about Skyline is Mr. Nick Fritsch. Nick, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well, Matt. Thanks for having me. The cicadas are loud outside. I can actually hear them at night. I haven't cut the grass yet, so I'm waiting for that kind of attack of, we have two big oaks in the backyard. So I'm not looking forward to that first grass cut now that they've emerged from the soil.
Yeah. Oh, man.
You're gonna mass murder some cicadas, are you?
I'm just going to wear one of those giant nets.
Yeah, exactly. Cool, my friend. Well, today, obviously, talking all about proactive intelligence with VMware Skyline. So thanks so much for joining us today. Tell us a little bit about this and how, we can kind of get from that pipe dream of being proactive and actually, take action on it and implement it and make it work.
Yep. Yeah. The idea around Skyline is really to take the experience of running into an issue that VMware already knows about. The way we do that today is, through KBs and those sort of things, where we publicize different issues or bugs or vulnerabilities that VMware has experienced and know about and fix. But do that in a way that our customers can consume it. It's probably not really realistic to think our customers are just going to continuously search our knowledge base repository day in and day out, looking for things that may or may not impact them. So that's where Skyline does a lot of that work for them, is analyze their environment, see what they're doing, seeing what they're running, analyzing that, and then saying, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Customer, this particular issue or vulnerability could impact you. Here's where VMware already knows about it, and here's where we've already fixed it. And then obviously it's always up to the customer what they want to do, whether to take action or not. But at least we can, one, drive that awareness, and then two, to help our customers. Instead of running into that issue and support telling them, yeah, we know about it, here's how you fix it, we can tell them that proactively, and the end result goal is hopefully avoiding that issue altogether, or again, at least driving awareness that, hey, this could happen.
Yeah, sounds like a real time saver too, right? I mean, obviously there's just tons and tons of KB articles out there. So, I mean, I've certainly gone through and worked with customers that have done that and do KB reviews, and it is very time consuming. So yeah, having a tool like this that can just go and identify states within your environment and show you KBs to resolve it is just awesome. So let's dive right into the demonstration here and, take a look at VMware Skyline. Of course, this is live as well. So please, use the chat and post your questions, post your comments, say hi to us, whatever. This is supposed to be a very interactive session. So, ask away.
Perfect. So I've got a few examples kind of ready here that I've kind of prepped just to kind of show the different inner workings of Skyline, how it works, some integrations or launching contacts that we have with some other vRealize products. So let's dive right in here. I'm going to start kind of, I call it in the middle of, you've adopted Skyline, what you're looking here. I'll go ahead and close the cookie window. You're looking at Skyline Advisor, which is a cloud service. Like many of our other cloud services that we offer today. So customer doesn't have to manage this. The only thing they got to manage is that Skyline Collector virtual appliance that they deploy and manage within their on-premises environments or data centers. Looking at one of our, call it a test or demo organizations that we utilize, very common, probably used, the CMBUTMM organization. And what I wanted to show is some of the launching context integrations we have with vRealize Operations Cloud, two in particular. First, within Skyline, we do display inventory. So these are the type of things that we are collecting, just to give you an idea. So, types of objects, names of those objects, version and build information. But one of the, call it a launching context, call it a integration, whichever you prefer, to vRealize Operations Cloud is from Skyline Advisor. You're looking at a particular object from a Skyline perspective, and you want to know more about that object from the capacity, performance, all those features and functionality and information provided to you within vRealize Operations Cloud, you can launch directly from Skyline Advisor into vRealize Operations Cloud into that exact object. So here we're looking at that exact host, HS2 B1608, which is exactly where I was here within Skyline Advisor. So that's one of the really kind of cool new features where we're trying to combine support in Skyline and manageability in vRealize Operations together. So if you're in one place and you want to see something else or different, you can do that very, very easily. So that's one place. Another place that's, I think, even more helpful is we have this operational overview dashboard within Skyline. So if you look here in your current vRealize Operations customer, you're probably going to say, boy, those look a lot like what vRealize Operations or vRealize Operations Cloud offers today. And that's true. The only difference is the data here is derived from Skyline, where the data derived in vRealize Operations is provided via basically vCenter server, sometimes through a proxy, depending on the flavor you're using. But what you can do here, for example, is say I'm looking at the cluster configuration dashboard. This is another place where I can launch directly into vRealize Operations Cloud and see additional information that Skyline doesn't provide. So it's that next level of information that Skyline Advisor can't provide, that vRealize Operations Cloud can't. And that's in the form of the full picture of that cluster configuration dashboard, being able to dive in and seeing which clusters have HA turned on, which ones have DRS turned on, turned off, and vice versa. So that's another place where you can go directly into that particular dashboard and see more information. And that's, again, taking a minute to load, but another place where we're, again, combining that support and manageability. It is worth calling out before I kind of leave here. This is only available to vRealize Operations Cloud. Since vRealize Operations Cloud, Skyline Advisor are both cloud services, both enabled within the CMBU TMM org. In this particular example, it's very easy to go from one to the other, given the logged in user that I'm logged in with, my account, has access to both services. If you're a vRealize Operations on-premises customer deployed, unfortunately, this integration doesn't exist. Just we can't make that connection from a cloud service to a on-premises environment yet. And so this is, again, a feature available that support manageability combination for Skyline Advisor and vRealize Operations Cloud customers. Also noting, if you do adopt Skyline, it's not shown here, but all customers, all Skyline customers do get a free trial of vRealize Operations Cloud. So if this is something you're kind of interested in, want to toy around with, there is a free trial that'll appear here on the operational overview dashboard. The org I'm in doesn't have the free trial, but if you were to adopt Skyline or already adopted Skyline, all of our Skyline customers do have that option for a free 30-day trial of vRealize Operations Cloud. So just pointing that out. I'm going to switch now quickly to a different org. This org is relatively clean. I like to show a different org that I'll call it is a little bit more, I won't say messy, just has some older versions in it, different configurations. So it allows us to show a little bit more information available within Skyline. I'm going to stay on that operational overview for just a moment and click into this show all operational overview. And we see these panels now. This is kind of I'll call it a tip and trick. So you're using Skyline, and one of the kind of caveats, and this is where Skyline ends, and again where vRealize Operations Cloud begins, is I'm looking at this DRS status, and I see 19 clusters have it enabled and 4 don't. And you're probably thinking, well, I want to see the 4 that don't. I want to see those. And if you notice, if I click on that little piece of pie, nothing happens. It basically looks like Pac-Man eating a piece of pie. So that's where, again, that's where we had that launch in context over in the vRealize Operations Cloud. However, for the 3 pie charts you see here, DRS status, HA status, HA emission controlled enabled, we actually have findings that back those. So if you wanted to see these 4 clusters that have DRS turned off, I could go into the findings and recommendations page. And it may take a little bit of searching. So if it's VCF enable DRS, again, there were 4. So this is the finding that's backing that particular pie chart. And if I were to scroll down here, there are those 4 clusters that have DRS turned off, disabled, whatever it may be. So the cluster configuration, those 3 is the only 3 that have findings today. But just kind of that quick tip and trick to where, hey, I don't have vRealize Operations Cloud. I want to get some value out of this. I want to see those 4 without having to go into vCenter and search around, 23 clusters. That's a lot of clusters. So that's one little kind of tip and trick. I can do the same thing for here, the HA status, where there's 10 true and 13 false. So I want to see those 13 clusters that have HA disabled. Again, you kind of got to know the name of the finding. You could search for HA, search for VCF. All these are backed. The DRS configuration, DRS, HA emission are basically all what we call VMware validated designs, where VMware Cloud Foundation is built off of. But if I search for that particular finding, again, there were 13. And looking at that finding, I can see those 13 clusters where HA is disabled or turned off. So just kind of a quick tip or trick for those operational overview dashboards before we kind of move on. Again, just for those 3, you can look at the findings and find that information that kind of supports that pie chart. While I am here, you're probably thinking, okay, 13 clusters. Yeah, I could write these down on paper real quick, but can I export this information out? I want to download it to my local machine, maybe share it with other team members. In this table form there's 6 columns and 14 rows. If we count the header row, you can export this information in Skyline using that export button there in the top right-hand corner. So that'll export not everything you see there. It'll export that table there at the bottom again with those 13 clusters. And in this example, have HA disabled or turned off. So again, another little tip or trick there on how you can get information out of Skyline to your local machine, again, for sharing and those sort of things. Now I was going to dive into kind of, I took it maybe next level right off the bat. Now we'll backtrack a little bit into, okay, Nick, I just started getting started with Skyline. I don't have vRealize Operations Cloud. I just want to use it for pure proactivity. First one is going to highlight here from a finding perspective with regards to what is Skyline looking for, how is it surfacing these potential issues or vulnerabilities, is maybe one that is maybe top of mind for some. VMware released a vulnerability yesterday that impacts vCenter Server. It's VMSA 2021-10. And we have a finding for it. So the finding is there. Once you reach that next analysis, so it may not be there if you're watching this live and you're not seeing this within your environment. You might not just hit that analysis period. If your analysis here was late yesterday, so May 25th, or anytime today, it will appear. If you're early on the 25th or late on the 24th, you still may just have to wait a few hours for this finding to do that analysis and populate within Advisor. But here we have that finding. We've named it, HTML5 client vulnerability. We always acronym it with either the VMSA or a KB article. You can see here on the one to the right, you have the KB article. And the way a finding works is first, each finding has a unique ID. So this is unique. We always front it with the product that's impacted. So vSphere, NSX, VT, vSAN, brief description, and then either, again, the VMSA number or the KB number. We define some, a category severity. This first observed is very important. So this is when this finding first appeared in your environment. So let's say you're running a version of 5.5, which is fine, perfectly fine. So this finding technically would not appear for you because this particular vulnerability does not impact vCenter Server 5.5. But let's say June 1st, you decide to upgrade to 6.5. This finding would then appear in your environment on June 2nd, June 1st, June 2nd, again, whenever that analysis occurred, and then that finding first observed date would be June 1st or June 2nd. So when I'm talking to customers, the finding first observed is always a great way to see what's new in your environment. You can actually sort by that first observed date and quickly see, those new findings that just appeared in Skyline Advisor for you. Another really key here, we do provide the CVEs in the description. This information here in the description is text searchable. So within the same way I searched for HTML5 just a few minutes ago, you can actually search for the CVE number as well. So if you have security-minded folks that aren't as VMware aware, they're only looking at CVE numbers, they can just plug that CVE number right in the Skyline Advisor and see if they're impacted or not. And then here at the bottom, we provide here, here's the issue, here's the vulnerability, here's the official documentation, and then here's where VMware's already fixed it in 6.5, 6.7, and 7.0. So bringing all that information to you. And then finally there at the bottom, in this instance, 6 vCenter servers impacted by this security vulnerability, again, from a VMware perspective. Obviously, you could have different controls in place from a security perspective that maybe would restrict this vulnerability from being exploited. But from a pure VMware perspective, these 6 vCenter servers do not meet the requirements of being secure from this particular vulnerability.
This is really cool to see something this up to date. I mean, this vulnerability was just released yesterday or something, right? I mean, it's fresh. So yeah, this is really cool to see. I can see a lot of customers perhaps using exactly this like right now, right? What's impacted, and being able to search by the CVE number. That's fantastic.
Yep, absolutely. So yeah, with the critical vulnerabilities, we like to have day 0 as close as we can. It's usually day 1 or day 2, and just because we have that 48-hour analysis period for it to actually populate within the customer's active findings. But yeah, for critical vulnerabilities, we like to get that information to our customers, obviously, as quickly as possible.
Now, as far as alerting customers or letting customers know, I mean, is there a way to, send an email alert or notify when something this critical is discovered?
Yes, we do have some email notifications. So if you're not logging in the Skyline every day and looking at those findings that are populating, a couple of options here. This is the one you'd be looking for. Send me a notification when there's a new critical finding. So for customers that have this particular email notification enabled, as this new critical finding populates within Advisor, they would receive an email notification telling them, new critical finding. The email provides a brief description with a link to log into Skyline Advisor. We don't provide all the information within the email. That's where we would encourage them with a hyperlink to log into Skyline Advisor to see all the details, right? All the affected objects, where we fixed it, etc. So we do have some email notifications in there again. And again, these are customer can choose what they do or do not want to receive.
Got it. That's great.
Perfect. I'll show one other quick example here. I'll use a very, very common one, PSOD, for purple screen of death. So for those, those instances, so 14 total potential purple screens of death. So note of Skyline is we're looking at potential purple screens of death. We're not telling customers that, hey, you ran into a purple screen of death. We're just doing that analysis based upon, in this instance, usually it's going to be version and build has a bug. That bug causes an outage in the form of the very common purple screen of death acronym. And here's where we fixed it. And then alerting the customer that here are all the ESXi hosts potentially affected. Doesn't mean it will happen. Doesn't mean it's happened in the past. But again, at least gives them that proactivity awareness perspective of, hey, this could happen. If it does happen, we can look at Skyline and see if that matches. So maybe we don't even have to call support. Hey, we ran into this bug. Here's what we saw. It matches the Skyline finding. So really no need to even call support. We can restore the host and then know that we run into this particular issue here from a purple screen of death perspective. VMware already knows about it. We fixed it. Here's the KB with more information. And again, all the potentially affected objects at the bottom. So the analogy I always like to use is it's like a vehicle manufacturer telling you, hey, this could happen. We don't know if it's already happened, but we're alerting you that, hey, your seatbelt could fail, the hood could fly off, whatever it may be. We know about it, we can fix it, and then ultimately it's up to you whether you want to take action or not. Very similar approach, again, just with our software versus a vehicle manufacturer.
Mm-hmm.
That was really
Well,
cool.
these are two fantastic examples here. Now, what let's say we need to open up a support case. I mean, I see something across the top here with log assist. Is that something that we can use along with a support request that we have open?
Yes, yes, it can. So ultimately, as much as we would like to just eradicate all issues from the planet,
Right.
unfortunately, that's not going to happen. Let me do this real quick. I will have to sign out and sign back in because I don't have any SRs open, which is a good thing. But I can sign in with an account here relatively quickly that does have some SRs open. So with log assist, the idea there is we're now shifting from proactive to reactive. And with log assist, we try to make it as easy as possible for our customers to transfer those support bundles. So I'm going to go into, yeah, this should work. It'll probably make a liar of myself. But today, a customer opens an SR, ran into an issue, needs help from VMware technical support in fixing it. Today, the TSC would either ask the customer to generate and upload a support bundle, or the customer sometimes will proactively, generate and upload as part of opening that SR. But in either method, via secure FTP or customer connect, the effort's on the customer. The customer has to generate it, download it to their local machine, and then upload it using one of those two methods today. With log assist, we try to make that very simple. So really, if I was playing the role of the customer, which I have been throughout this demo, first thing they're going to do is choose the SR that they want to associate a support bundle from, or with, I'm sorry. So I'm just going to choose the top one here. Choose next. So I need to initiate a support bundle, upload a bundle for that particular SR. Then it's very simple, just choose the objects. And they can choose more than one here. I could choose a vCenter and a host. I could choose a bunch of hosts in a cluster. So it is, just one object, many objects. And you can see here on the left, I've kind of built a job. Generate a support bundle for these, what I select 5 ESXi hosts. Then after it's generated, I want you to upload it to VMware for that particular SR. So after I've completed those steps, I click Initiate Log Transfer, and then Confirm, which I'm not going to do, just not to create unnecessary support bundles. But if I were to click Initiate there, what happens is that Skyline collector that the customer's deployed receives this job, generates a support bundle for those 5 ESXi hosts, and then the Skyline collector uploads them to VMware for that particular SR. And then all the normal notifications, notifying the TSE, customer has began a support bundle upload using Skyline, support bundle upload has transferred, analysis can begin. All those notifications still occur from a technical support perspective. But you can see there in a matter of, conservatively 4 or 5 minutes, you can do that initiation of a generation and the upload in a wizard format that hopefully takes some of that effort away from our customers. And again, we leverage technology now to do the heavy lifting.
Awesome. Well, yeah, exactly. So I mean, that's a lot of ground covered here with Skyline. I mean, talking about the integrations, just being able to launch the vCenter right from within that link is super helpful. And then obviously vRealize operations dive deeper into it, and then the proactive and reactive side of Skyline. I mean, there's a lot that you guys cover for. Yeah, it's such a cool tool, and it's included with support contracts.
How do customers get this?
Yep. So really easy. Yes, it's production support or higher. Obviously, Premier support, Success 360, all included. So we call it no additional cost. You just have to have that support entitlement with VMware. And then getting started is really simple. So if you were just go to skyline.vmware.com, that's our landing page. We have this Get Started button right there. So if you're interested in Skyline, how do I get started? How do I download the collector, create that cloud services organization? Clicking that Get Started button will, I can actually click it. I won't actually progress through it though. We'll actually launch a wizard that will allow you to create a cloud services organization. And then it takes you into another wizard that gives you a download link for the collector and registering that collector. So it is very self-service from that perspective. With regards to getting started, the idea there is obviously you don't necessarily need our help. but we are here to help if needed. We have a Skyline community on the VMTN, so our technology network, where we help customers through that community channel that we have available to us. But yeah, that skyline.vmware.com, and then just click get started, and that'll launch you into a couple wizards that will walk you through the entire organization creation and collector download, deploy, and registration process.
Cool. Well, awesome, Nick. Thank you so much for taking the time today to show us Skyline here. Really appreciate it. If you want to check out more with Skyline, like Nick said, skyline.vmware.com. Go check out that. There's also pathfinder.vmware.com. So we do have resources on Skyline out there as well. If you want to go from level 100 to 300-400 level of just learn more about Skyline before you get hands-on with it, pathfinder.vmware.com. Check that out as well. So Nick, any parting words, anything you want to call out before we wrap this up?
No, not necessarily. Like we hit across all the points. Again, this is no additional cost, so it's not going to cost you anything to get started with it. Take a look at it, see where those, again, potential issues occur, the configuration recommendations as well. So yeah, no additional cost. Get started today. We encourage it, and obviously we're here to help. We have a Skyline channel on Twitter, so you can reach out to us that way if you're on social media. Again, the Skyline community is another way you can reach us, or you can feel free to. I'm also on Twitter. You can contact me directly. No issue with that at all. Do everything we can to help our customers.
Fantastic. Well, that wraps up another episode of vRealize This Live. Thanks again to Nick Fritsch for joining us to talk about Skyline, and we'll catch you all on the next stream. I think it's going to be in a month. I think we're actually off for the next episode because we try to hit this every other Wednesday. So it will be about 4 weeks before we're back with more content for you. So do check that out. Check out the VMware YouTube channel for past episodes of vRealize This Live, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks again for joining.